Okay, so everyone was thinking of a goal that they want for themselves and their family, and you guys know that I talk fast, and I'm going to talk really fast through this, because this is a presentation that I've put together, and it takes a long time to get through this topic, right? What your doctors know but don't tell you. You know what I'm saying? We can talk about all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to talk fast. I abbreviated this, and I cut it down into pieces, and I'm not going to talk about every slide that's up here. But we'll talk about more. You know, if you want to hear the whole story, invite me to a place and we'll do the full talk. It takes about 45 minutes or an hour. Cool? So everyone's thinking of a goal for themselves or their family. And if someone doesn't mind, just tell me something that they thought of.
I want to bake without sugar and have it taste as good as ever.
He's such a smart aleck. Why did you bring him in? What else? That's a great goal. What's a goal that you have for yourself or your family?
Break free from the normal family routine of eating, just horrible things and having your kids eat horrible things and everyone's health just being affected by that.
Totally, totally. What's another one?
Stop eating candy.
Compete in pole pedal paddle? That'd be sweet. I've been saying I was going to do that since I moved here 5 years ago. It sneaks up on me every year. Okay, so these are all great goals. And wouldn't you agree that there's some things that we need to achieve those goals? I don't know about the cooking one. I mean, that one's hard, Ron. Nothing tastes quite like sugar. Stuff tastes better.
Stevia.
You just haven't found it yet. So, now, what are some things that we might need to achieve these goals?
Dedication.
A plan.
A plan, dedication, better health. What else?
Motivation.
Motivation.
Did you say motivation?
Knowledge. So we need some fundamental things to achieve these goals that we have for ourselves and our family. And the answer that I was kind of looking for is health. Because we can have amazing houses, we can live in Bend, and we can have watch all these people race in the pole paddle, and we can try and eat healthy, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to health. So, would you agree that health is your most valuable asset? Everyone in this room agrees with me on that?
Yeah.
Very good. So, if you agree that health is your most valuable asset in achieving what you're designed to achieve in this planet, who's in charge of your health?
We are.
Every single person in this room said that collectively at the exact same time. We are. So not the doctor, not me, not your husband, not your wife. You're in charge of your health because you said that your health is your most important asset. So are you guys sure? Are you sure? You're in charge of your own health. You know that. You know that to be true?
You're going to say the doctor's in charge of our health.
I am not saying that. I'm saying the opposite of that.
I know.
I'm setting you up for what we're going to talk about here.
You're setting us up.
She doesn't trust what you're saying.
So you tell me the health is your most important asset, and you're in charge of your health, and that's why I'm telling you that right now. Because so many times we put our health in someone else's hands.
Okay.
And when we do that, does that ever really work out in our best interest? No. So your health is your most important asset. You're in charge of your health, and nobody's going to help you get there except yourself. Right? It's for that number one reason that this country is the sickest, most unhealthy country in the entire world. It's because we put our health into someone else's hands. And that's because that's why we have more sickness, more disease, more breakdown, more cancer, more diabetes, more death. I just told someone today the number 3 cause of death in the United States today is, guess what?
Cancer. Stress.
Misdiagnosis.
Obesity.
Come on. Come on, David.
It is medical unfortunate accidents.
Iatrogenic causes of death. Number 3. Number 3 cause of death in the United States is iatrogenic. Nobody knows what that word means, and that's why they use it. Thank you very much. They use it because they don't want you to know that. The number 3 cause of death is medically related deaths. That means the wrong prescription, the wrong surgery, the wrong things went bad, someone died because of this, someone died of that. Craziness. Okay? That's the reason why we have so much sickness and disease in our country. And if you're like me a long time ago, how do you gauge your health? How do you know if you're healthy?
You or the doctor, once they're in, they tell you.
Okay.
As often as you get sick.
Okay. So
No
you
pain.
feel good? What else? How do people gauge their health?
No pain.
No pain.
No pain.
So they look good and they feel good. That's what I hear every single day when I do talks like this. I gauge my health based on how I look and how I feel, and I'm telling you that's the reason that we've gotten into this mess. Because we can't base our health on how we look and how we feel. And if you're like me, I used to think that too before I became a doctor, and now I know that that is absolutely 100% the wrong way to view our health, and that's still what they're telling us. Health is based upon how you function and heal, not how you look and you feel. And if you'd like a new definition,
Say that one more time. Function.
health is based upon how you function and heal, not how you look and feel. It's got a nice jingle to it, too. See, I'm so how happy we're together now. Okay? So I want to give you a new definition for health, and I don't want you to fall victim of the old definition for health that someone taught us was the definition of health, because now we're sicker and more unhealthy than any other country in the world. Amen? Cool. That's why you're here. So, what doctors know but don't want you to know, I'm really going to go warp speed. I'm going to rush through this, and let's not focus on the doom and the gloom, but let's just acknowledge that the healthcare model is controlled by some evil forces. Okay? Now, the pharmaceutical companies run healthcare. Fact. Any of the good doctors will tell you that. True. The reason is that the pharmaceutical companies own the studies, they fund the schools, and they only publish the studies that they want that are in favor of what they want you to know. And that's why we have, if you've ever gone home and watched Jeopardy, which I actually kind of like Jeopardy. It's one TV show that I'm kind of into. How many times per commercial do you hear a drug ad?
Oh, geez.
Like sometimes every single one is a drug ad. It's because the pharmaceutical company runs everything that we're involved with. Everything to a T. They have this thing mastered. They spend more on direct consumer advertising than most countries' GDP, gross domestic product. $28 billion last year spent on keeping you informed with which drug you should take and why you should take it and why your life stinks if you don't take this drug. $28 billion they spent last year. That's more than most countries' GDP. Okay? You guys are with me on this. It reminds me of something.
She has something she wants to say.
Because on the medical commercials, they prescribe a medication that's supposed to help you, and then
You're a genius.
they
You're going to
give
make a
you
great doctor.
they give you all these side effects that are horrible, and they can even kill you.
This can help you, but this can also kill you.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Out of the mouth of babes.
I don't know. She wanted to say that. Just out of the blue.
Come on. You're going to be a great chiropractor. Thank you for bringing that up. What an intelligent thing for someone to say, as wise as she is, right? It reminds me of this television show, ER. This is how they tap into our brains. This was the #1 television show of the 90s. You remember this? This thing rocked!
Dr. Creed.
Yes! Now get ready, because I'm going to blow your mind by this statistic. This statistic came out and was written about in a book about persuasion and influence. Okay? Now, 50% of people who watched ER called their medical doctor on the phone with a question about something that they saw on ER.
Oh my God.
Doc, I saw someone had kidney failure. Do you think the pain that I'm having is kidney failure? 50%. Okay? I'm going to blow your mind even more. 40% of people who watched ER admitted that they go home and talk to their family members and discuss what types of issues their family members have based upon what they saw in ER. This is a fake show. I'm going to blow your mind even more. 33% of people who watched this show admittedly revealed and acknowledged that they make healthcare decisions for themselves and their family from information that they got from the TV show. 33% of people. A fake television show. The pharmaceutical companies loved this show. There's all this probably inside deals that went on with them to talk about which health concerns were relevant to what drugs were being released. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh, I can tell you. I worked for a company that they paid the show to use their product and to bring it up and show it in one of their ER cases. They go, ooh, percutaneous tracheostomy set, and they held up and you could see the company's name on the thing before you used it.
All day, every day, for sure. So back onto the big pharma thing. I already talked to you about this. They spend so much money to keep you guys in the know, what they term as, you're the market. I'm the market. Okay? And I thought that this was the way to be healthy before I became a doctor. So Lisa Rankin, medical doctor, I believe our healthcare system is badly broke. It has lost its respect for the body's ability to heal itself. The medical establishment has become arrogant. We think that all we've learned over the past century and all of the technology that we've mastered nature. Sometimes we need to realize that nature is better than we are. Totally. I don't think I have to talk about that anymore. We can talk 45 minutes on just that. This is a medical doctor who worked in the system. I'm not a medical doctor, and it's easy for me to point fingers and say, oh, you guys are doing it wrong. I have a different philosophy, but this is coming from someone who had that philosophy at one point. Okay? I like to just tell people how big this really is. Okay? In the United States, there's 52,000 roughly practicing chiropractors. 52,000 of us out there. All right? There are 72,000 pharmaceutical sales reps. That's 9 sales reps for every 1 medical doctor. This is a massive game.
It says 1 for every 9 doctors.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say that.
Tone making you total.
I have dyslexia with my numbers. Holy smokes. This is a big game. A pharmaceutical sales rep that I know who worked for Merck. Remember, I worked for GlaxoSmithKline, so I know some of these people. She said the number is between 9 and 12. If you try to sell and approach a medical doctor, between 9 and 12 times they'll buy. And she said, that's why I made so much money, because I'm really pretty, and I never give up. Okay?
Is she the one we listened to?
Yeah. Yeah, she's one we listened to. So this is an article that came out of People magazine. It said every 24 minutes someone dies from prescription abuse. These are medications that are prescribed by the doctor, and these are not taken off label. These are prescription drugs that are taken with
the doctor's prescription.
Yes.
With the doctor's
You got
direction.
it. You got it. You got it. So Bruce Lipton, he's a geneticist, one of the leading geneticists in the world. Bruce Lipton says, we're in a period of extinction right now. At this moment as we speak, by 2050, the oceans may not have any fish left in them, and we are losing species 1,000 times faster than ever before on planet Earth. Okay? Who's the sickest species on planet Earth? Humans. Okay? He also says in his book, Biology of Belief, he says that if humans were on the same scale that we view mammals and eagles, and we would already be on the endangered species list at the rate that we're losing lives and the rate that we're sick. Okay? So this is a major deal. The number 2 thing is, of course, the V word, as I like to call it now, because people don't like to talk about the V word, and it's vaccines. And most everyone in this room knows where I stand on this topic, and I'm all for medical freedom. And the moment that you take away someone's medical freedom, I'm going the other direction. Okay? If you choose to get vaccinated, that's fine, but let me share with you some of the dangers of vaccination. And that is that most vaccinations have things in them that will completely shrivel up your nervous systems the size of a pea, and will block neurological pathways that were functioning 10 seconds earlier, and you introduce things like heavy metals, and the neuron axon junction completely dies and starts shriveling outward. Remember, we shared this together, David. So there's things in vaccinations that unfortunately are causing some serious damage. And for the first time ever in the history of healthcare and the history of our United States government, our president elected someone to head a committee to investigate on the federal level what's going on with these vaccinations. You guys have heard of John F. Kennedy? Mm-hmm. So Robert Kennedy Jr. is now heading a council to investigate what's going on with vaccinations, because we recognize that this stuff is scary, it's dark, and it's disrupting.
Dangerous.
It's so dangerous you don't even want to get into it with me right now. Okay? Now,
Let's just bring something up in California. They're making it a lot of vaccine and children.
It already is a lot.
Then you go in jail and
you got it.
Children, or they're not allowed to go to school.
So I'm all for us having our ability to choose.
Yeah.
Yes, my little wizard?
Also, doctors lie about having diseases when they actually come from something else just to get vaccines.
You could be right. You could be right.
Because the doctor we went to, they said that that tetanus came from a rusty nail, but it actually doesn't. It does come from a rusty nail, but it has to be in the ground from the soil. So landed from infected poop.
You are right. It comes from feces. Yeah. Oh.
Better start saving that money.
So these vaccines things are dark and scary, all right? I just had a baby 3 weeks ago, and as this baby was coming out, and I held the baby, and caught the baby as the baby came out, and I looked at it, and this whole vaccine issue changed for me in that 1 second, because I looked at this perfect baby, the most beautiful expression of life, and every second of its life thereafter would never be as pure as it was that moment that it first came out. So the more educated mind gets involved with humanity, the worse we become, because we lose our innate ability to function the way that we were designed to. So I'm holding this perfect expression of life, no flaws, perfect on every level, and I think to myself, now why the heck would I want to shoot something into this baby? And everything changed, and I've been talking about this vaccine thing for years, but it changed at that very instance, and I was like, it's different for me now. Okay? In 1983, the average person born received 24 doses of 7 injections. Okay? In 2016, so last year, the average child in their lifespan of becoming an adult, so from age 0 to 18, they would receive 70 doses of 51 injections. I have copies of this, and I can print this out for you. Craziness. Yep, I got it for you. So what we talked about is in California, they're mandating that children get vaccinated, but they also want to mandate that adults get vaccinated. So think of a world where you can't file your taxes if you can't first give them your vaccination schedule. And it's not that far off, because that's what the researchers are telling us. Just know that medical freedom is a good thing. And if you choose to get vaccinated, I'm not going to be mad at you for that, but please know what you're up against. And the best thing I'm telling people right now is, when people come to me and say, should I get my new baby vaccinated? I go, just wait. Just wait. Because don't do it now, you can always do it later, and just wait to see what comes out in the next 2 years, because in the next 2 years, you're going to look back and we're going to go, what a dark age that we just went through. Okay? The flu vaccine is probably one of the worst of them all, because they all have mercury and formaldehyde in them. Even the Flonase one, the one that you squirt up your nose, I'm pretty sure. They're listed in the physician's desk reference is having those poisons in them. Don't get a flu shot, because you're getting an old virus that came from last year, and by the time you get the old virus that came from last year, you're completely, I'm going to get that one again. It's their best guess at what you're going to get based upon last year's virus. Don't get flu shots, okay? Inflammation, number 3. Inflammation is the killer that we need to watch out for. And doctors know that vaccines are causing problems. They know it. All of them do. Pediatricians now don't vaccinate their kids. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. Because they're going, let's just wait. Okay? There's a pediatrician in town that doesn't vaccinate his kids. How about that? Okay? Doctors know that inflammation is the real killer. All right? But the problem is that we know that it's the common link to every single chronic disease, yet the medical doctors aren't treating the inflammation in the body. They're acknowledging that, yes, we know now that inflammation is the common link for all chronic disease, doesn't matter what you have, but why aren't we targeting the inflammation, and how can we decrease it naturally instead of doing it artificially? Okay? People are dying of things that they don't feel, not the things that they feel. Generally, okay? If you have a heart attack, yeah, you can feel that. But we're slowly dying from the things that we can't feel, and that's the problem. Because we base our health on how we look and feel, not how we function and heal. Okay, so this inflammation is a big, big thing. It's everywhere. It's gone rampant. And the number one place inflammation comes from is our diet. Okay? We're doing another cancer lecture this year in May 20th. And you'll learn that cancer cells have 8 receptor sites for sugar for every 1 receptor site for sugar that a normal cell has. So sugar is the fuel to the fire to a cancer cell. Okay? It's gasoline to a cancer cell. All right? And you come to my cancer talk, you'll learn all about that. Heart disease. Doctors know that heart disease does not come from things like saturated fat in our diets. They know that. There's been books that have been written about it for the past 10 years. This dragon has been slain, yet we still keep doing things like prescribing Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor, and statin drugs. A statin drug is designed to decrease your lipid enzymes and your production of cholesterol from your liver. Okay? The problem is that some very, very important critical organs in your body depend upon those cholesterols that are produced naturally in your body. For instance, your brain and spinal cord are a complete blob of cholesterol and fat. So what we've seen is that the cholesterol got targeted as the bad guy for heart disease, and now we know that it has nothing to do with heart disease, except for very rare cases. We learned that the LDLs and the HDLs are happy. They start with an H, so they're happy, they're the good guys, and that the LDLs are these fat, sluggish ones that just kind of bounce around, and they're low and they're sad. And that the LDLs cause heart disease. Have you heard this before? Good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. It was the worst thing that they could have taught us, and it was designed to do that, to trick you, to think that your LDLs were going to kill you. Now, everyone has HDLs and LDLs, and they're important for life. The issue arises is that when we have an inflammatory diet, we get these little micro-trauma tears in our blood vessels, okay, and in our arteries, because inflammation breaks things down. And now you get these little tiny tears in the arteries, and you get these LDLs that are kind of just naturally slow and kind of bop around. And the body is trying to heal these little tiny tears that you have in your arteries. And during the healing process, it brings in and recruits things that are going to start to heal the tissue. And in the process of trying to heal tissue, some of that healing process gets sticky. I'm simplifying this for you. It gets sticky, and now you get the HDLs that go zooming by like a speeding bus, and you get the LDLs that are just kind of bouncing around, and all of a sudden they hit one of those sticky little clots that are forming, and they stick. And here comes another LDL, boom, and he gets stuck, and then she gets stuck, and now you have this concoction, this nasty brew that starts to clog your arteries, but the whole time it's not the LDL that's the bad guy, it's the inflammation, and it's the injury that's happening in the blood vessel from the diet that's creating the inflammation.
A quick, really interesting point that drives that home is that when it's kind of gross that I did autopsies for many years, but there were many people who were in their 60s and 70s, and they're large, and when you cut down the aorta, it was almost like it was cutting through. It was so crispy from the plaques that it was almost right to your scissors. You wondered how they could even bend over without them cracking. But if somebody had died from a long-term cancer, if somebody had died from their diet being, totally void of sugars and all that stuff, the body ate all those cholesterols, and their aortas were like a 20-year-old. It was amazing. You'd have an 80-year-old person, and you were just sure they would have a crispy aorta, and it was like brand new. It was incredible, and it ate the plaques because of just that, the diet.
You guys have heard this before, maybe? If you don't believe me, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't, there are some amazing New York Times best-selling books that explain this to us. And yet one of the most prescribed drugs still in the market, Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor, and all these things. We're going to look back in 20, 30 years, and we're going to call this the medical dark ages. And I should coin that term, the medical dark ages, and you're going to go, what were we doing? Okay, let's hope so. Okay, so this explains what I just explained to you, directly taken out of one of those books. The fifth thing is that doctors know that the nervous system controls everything. Every single function in your body is controlled by your brain and spinal cord. Okay? So we know that that controls everything, yet no doctor that you've maybe ever been to besides a chiropractor, maybe, I don't know, has ever explained to you that, hey, I know you got all these things going on, and we can help treat those things. But before we do, let's see what your brain's communicating with your body. Let's see what your brain's telling your body. And we can do all these things, and we can prescribe all these drugs, but first, let's see how your brain's communicating with your body. How silly would it be if you went to a dentist and you had 3 cavities, and the dentist never looked at you and said, are you brushing your teeth? Let's fill the cavities, but when you go home, are you flossing and brushing? Because that's why this happened. Every dentist has that conversation with you. Okay? Every doctor should have a conversation with you and tell you your brain controls your spinal cord and your spinal cord controls your body. And if there's stuff going on, let's at least acknowledge. Let's have an intelligent conversation and acknowledge that we should at least have that, bring that up, and give you a chance to make sure the communication channels are open. Agreed? Mm-hmm. So we know this to be true. Doctors all know that your body has an ability to heal too, with or without medications. And I'm friends with some medical doctors, and when they're going to school, And when you're learning about immunology, and then you learn about pharmacology and how to treat the body based upon what is presenting itself, so pharmacology, prescribing drugs, doctors know that even when they give you a drug, your body's doing the healing. It's just upregulating or downregulating your physiology so that your brain and spinal cord and body can heal the way that it was supposed to. It's true. Drugs alter physiological states of cells. But at the end of the day, even if my toe gets infected and I take an antibiotic, the antibiotic is not getting me healthy. It's just downregulating the bacterial overload so that my body can upregulate and attack the bad guys. Okay? All my patients know this. Your body is designed to heal, and the nervous system is what does the healing. And doctors know about subluxations. They just don't know the word subluxation. So your doctors all know if they have some intelligence, which they do. So doctors are intelligent people. Some of them far more intelligent than me, right? Think about a surgeon opening you up, keeping you alive, performing a life-saving surgery, all in a day's work, patching you up, and then you go home and heal. That's amazing. That gives me more hope that the body's designed to heal than anything else. Okay? But doctors know about subluxations. And they know, my study, this is why I put this up here today, my study for the week is on the Danish twin study. Okay? And we're not going to get into the Danish twin study because I want to make sure that we get done so you can leave. But here's what it says. It says that if you have chronic disease of the spine, degenerative disease of the spine, you have a 13% death rate, increased death rate. Okay? We know this to be true, that if your spine is sick, it's going to affect whatever lives inside of it, right? If my house is covered in mold, it's going to make everyone living in it what? Sick. So if my spine is sick and breaking down and degenerative, remember, we look at x-rays to see that, you better believe that what lives inside of there is sick. And if you're not doing anything to either stop the process or reverse some of the process, the system that lives inside of it, the system that controls every single cell, tissue, and organ in your body, 76 trillion cells, are going to be sick. And doctors know that, and the research says that, but we're still not like eating off the same dinner plate for some reason. Okay? So here's the 7 secrets of a subluxation. Okay? You don't have to feel a subluxation because only 30% of your body can feel the misalignments. Subluxation leads to early death. We know this. It's been published in medical literature. Nutrition, yoga, and diet, they don't remove subluxations. They might help your body function better, but they don't take pressure off of a sick spine. All right? Everybody has subluxations if you live a life. Right? That's why I take care of babies. Doctors of chiropractic are the specialists for subluxations. X-rays are the tool, and I always tell people, it's better to get checked now than wait 10 years until generation happens. Because we now know, I'm really talking fast now, we now know that 9% of 10-year-olds already have pre-signs of degenerative conditions in their spine. 9%. These are real numbers, okay? And we're still in the healthcare crisis. Doctors know that this is getting worse. We know that this is getting worse before it gets better. And the reason is because we're sicker now than we ever were before. Even doctors are losing faith in the model. Okay, and I put a statistic up here for you to understand that many doctors are choosing not to vaccinate now. And Dr. Dan Harper, this chemotherapist, said that only 9% of chemotherapists are choosing chemotherapy in a recent poll to treat their cancer. What? Are you are you kidding me? So my grandma, who I love more than anyone else in the world, is going to get the radiation chemo package, and you're not? I'm out. You don't tell me to do something that you're not going to do for yourself. Okay? I always tell everyone, I'm telling you things that I do for myself and for my family, and I'm never going to tell you to do something I wouldn't do for my 3-week-old baby girl. Okay? The 65-year-old study, 73 chiropractors monitored, and they studied their patients that were over the age of 65. Here's what they found. This is a great article to give to senior citizens. They found that their healthcare costs gets cut in half, and they found that they saw their doctor 4 times a year when the average person over the age of 65 sees their doctor 9 times a year. The federal government knows this to be true, and that's why Medicare now covers chiropractic. I would say half of the people I see have zero coverage for chiropractic. And the government gives their Medicare patients coverage for chiropractic. Hello? Okay? Because they know it's going to cost them less money if the people get adjusted. Pretty cool. Okay? Doctors know that the real health comes from prevention and lifestyle. One of my colleagues in Philadelphia, he sat on a board of medical doctors at one of the hospitals in Philadelphia that treated a lot of cancer. Okay, so oncologists and this big group of doctors. And they looked at him because they wanted another opinion, and they said, "Doctor, how would you do things differently?" And he said, "I would make sure that people didn't get cancer to begin with." And the lead oncologist said, "You know what, Doc? You're absolutely right, because we know that the majority of cases of cancer are 100% preventable, and if we would just teach people how to live their lives differently, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in today." But nobody had brought that up because they were sitting around trying to figure out how to treat it. Your DNA is not your destiny. Doctors know that your DNA is not going to determine your life. Okay? This is from Time magazine 2 years ago. Science tells us now that only 20 to 30% of your health is determined by your genes. So why are they trying to tell us that it's all genetic? 20 to 30% of your health, that means the other 70 to 80% of your health is determined by your lifestyle.
You make more money when you come inside.
So there's hope, right? There's hope for this because you're your best doctor, and you can now ask doctors to ask you different questions because they've taught us to ask the wrong questions for the past 30 or 40 years. So there is hope. You're responsible for your own health, and all we have to do is have a different belief system or a paradigm shift. And that's what we're doing right here tonight. Is I'm accelerating your belief system and your body's ability to heal. And if you have any paradigms that are stuck in an old model, I'm helping you explore new opportunities. I'm not telling you that drugs and medication are bad, because surely they save lives in times of crisis. I just want you to understand that they're probably not the answer for long-term health, vitality, and longevity. Okay? The choice is yours. You get to make the decision, and this is what I'm going to leave you with. Okay? This is a very famous chiropractor. His name is Fred Barge. And he says, the patient is not sick because they have pneumonia. They have pneumonia because they're sick. He also said that, let me see if I can get this right. He said, even rats leave a sinking ship.
Wow.
If you feel like the model that you've invested your life in and learned and been taught and educated by teachers, preachers, mothers, and fathers, maybe it's changing. Maybe the model's opening up for you and you're saying, I might be able to ask a different question now. And maybe there's a different way. You know, my mom didn't have a car seat when she was growing up. Never rode in a car seat in her life. And guess what the midwife asked me, like literally before she went home at night when the baby was born?
Do you have a car
You guys get your car seat? 60 years ago, there were no car seats. Today, you can't get in your car without a car seat if you have a baby.
There were no seatbelts.
There were no seatbelts back then.
Much less.
If there's a better way to do things, which I agree car seats are a good idea. If there's a better way to do things, don't be afraid to ask the question about how that can affect you and your family's health for your future. That's all I'm asking. Okay? And this is a good crowd tonight. And I got some great questions. I'll stay here for another 10 minutes. If anyone wants to ask any questions, we can fire away. If not, have a great day.